Once I achieved that goal, the journey was great, yes, but the trophy at the end is oh so sweet. I can't sell that thing. I love it. Greetings, Thrift Dwellerites. This is Nate, and I'm back with another episode of Top 3 Tuesday, our show where we ask you to take an introspective look at the question of the video and give your responses, rank them from 3 to 1. We don't take this that seriously, so please do not be afraid to share your responses in the comments below. Before I get into the video, I wanted to mention about the shoutouts. I used to put them before the Top 3 Tuesday, however, I really wanted to get in depth with your responses to the videos and really put time into communicating back to everyone who took the time to participate in the video. So look out for the response videos for Top 3 Tuesday, where I will do the shoutouts there. Linked in the description below. They should come out like 2 days after this. But today, I wanted to ask you guys out there, what are 3 items from your collection that you could never part with? I guess they would be very sentimental to you, or maybe explain the reasons why you would not part with these particular video game items from your collection. The 3 items I could never sell out of my retro video game collection. Number 3. Now this video game isn't necessarily rare, but it's made by Rare. Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. I have it complete in box, but it's the actual cartridge that I have that I cannot get rid of. Back in my younger days, I think it was the Christmas of 1993, I was a late comer to the Super Nintendo console, and I bought the actual bundle with the Donkey Kong Country in it, and it was one of the only games that I had for like a solid year, where like all my cousins and friends used to have multiple games. I was stuck with Donkey Kong Country, so I played the crap out of that game. But really, why I cannot get rid of this specific cartridge, it's the original cartridge that came with my Super Nintendo console as a kid. At that particular time in my childhood, pre-adolescence, is that the right word? Before I became a teen. There was a lot of stuff going on, and I would escape by playing Donkey Kong Country. That Super Nintendo and that cartridge I would keep under my arm, whether I had to go to my grandmother's house or stay with my uncles and aunties for a while. I took that cartridge with me, and I played that game, and you know, my sister and I would play together in the basement. No matter what was going on, like behind me or in real life, I could escape into Donkey Kong Country. So every time I play that game, like the sounds, the music, it really kind of takes me back to, it reminded me of like a happy time through a tough time, if that makes any sense. Anyways, that's Donkey Kong Country number 3, the cartridge itself. I'm happy to have a complete in box, but this is the cartridge. I'm gonna be in my mausoleum holding it like this. Number 2 on my list of items that I can never sell, one of my favorite games of all time, Resident Evil 4. I don't have a room full of like special editions or whatever, but one thing that I really wanted to get when I started retro video game collecting was the Resident Evil 4 controller for the GameCube. However, the only one that I could find locally was the PlayStation 2 one. So this is the PlayStation 2 Resident Evil 4 controller. Obviously not really meant to be a controller. To play the game with this would be kind of ridiculous, but as a display piece, oh. So I put a lot of hours into that game, kind of showing my love for that game. The franchise, of course, I love the franchise, but that game in particular is really near and dear to my heart. So when I found that Resident Evil 4 controller, I was hunting for it for like 4 years locally. Nobody seemed to have it. So when I saw that PS2 one, thank the retro gods that I was able to find it, and I got it for a good price. I don't think I could ever part with it because of my sentimental attachment to the game. And you know, when you really put so much time into looking for an item and you finally get it, you tend to cherish that more. That might not be true for everybody. Let me know in the comments below. Some people can, like, it's the thrill of the chase for them rather than getting to that final goal. But for me, finding that Resident Evil 4 controller, even though it's for the PS2, oh, the item itself it's a really gorgeous piece. More fashion over function. Like I said, you can't play that controller. It's ridiculous, but it looks great. I'm happy to have it in my retro video game collection. When I eventually thin this collection down, the Resident Evil 4 controller will be one of the last things. Which kind of brings me to the next question I want to do on Top 3 Tuesday. Items that are still missing from my retro video game collection. Obviously, I mentioned I don't have a GameCube Resident Evil 4 controller. Funny enough, one of the topics for Top 3 Tuesday was items in my collection that I have no problem selling, like interesting retro video game items. I actually sold an item because of that video. I will recap that story on the response video for this episode of Top 3 Tuesday. So maybe it'll work with a GameCube Resident Evil 4 controller. If anybody out there wants to send me one, I will more than happily do a shout out for you. You probably want cash via PayPal though. Whatever. You know what? If anyone out there has a Resident Evil 4 GameCube controller, let me know in the comments below or find us on Facebook and DM me there. Number 1 on my list. When I first started retro video game hunting and I really took it seriously, I made a list of games that I had to have, my must-haves. And this game came out, I think, in 1992. Could be wrong about that. Final Fantasy IV. Now this, I had to hunt for it like pieces of the Triforce throughout the city over, I think, 2 years. So I put it all together, and this is my complete inbox Final Fantasy II for the Super Nintendo. One of my favorite games of all time. I really gotta get that top 10 list together for my... Again, one of those games I put so many hours into, Final Fantasy II, which of course, now colloquially in the community, did I say that right? Final Fantasy IV, people like to say in the community. The game itself, I would actually consider it a masterpiece for the Super Nintendo. It's one of my personal favorite games of all time. A great story. The first time I ever remember being fully immersed in a story, especially in the 16-bit era, you had to use a lot of imagination back in the day. Nowadays, it's very easy to get lost into a game, but back then, I think that's why people have such a strong attachment to retro video games, because you kind of put your piece of yourself into that game when you're playing it and you're experiencing it. You know, the pixels on the screen may translate differently in your mind, right? So to me, I was seeing these characters, Cecil and Kane. They all kind of showed their personality in the 16-bit world, but they really came alive in my mind, like reading a book. On my list of essential retro video game items that I had to have in my collection, Final Fantasy II for the Super Nintendo complete in box. Once I achieved that goal, the journey was great, yes, but the trophy at the end is oh so sweet. I can't sell that thing. I love this game so much. So there you have it. My top 3 items from my retro video game collection that I could never sell. Ranked in order. I don't know if that was really ranked in order though, but there are 3 items from my... Please let me know 3 items from your retro video game collection that you could never sell in the comments below. And if you're really dope, make a video. I would love to see videos. Maybe we'll start getting guest hosts on the show like the original Top 3 Tuesday from Ep.3. This might be a different setup from what I regularly shoot, but I was actually doing a review on these 2 wicked resin statues from Diamond Select. Look, that's Cable. And it's freaking fantastic. The reason that I started doing these questions, like items in my collection that I can sell and that I can't sell, is because recently I've been kind of taking inventory of all the items that I have in my collection because I'm trying to thin it down. There's not enough space to hold all this just stuff, you know? So I'm kind of dividing everything into items that I can sell, items that I can't sell, and just really organizing it. And I'm coming across a lot of really interesting pieces that I kind of want to share with you guys and girls, because even me, I forget I have them. Funny enough, that's crazy. But yeah, looking around my room, there's so many other things that I can say I would never sell, or really interesting or valuable items that I could sell. So these may be ongoing themes on future Top 3 Tuesday videos. So again, thank you to everybody who participates in Top 3 Tuesday, shares Top 3 Tuesday, give it a thumbs up and subscribes to the channel. You guys are awesome. Thank you for allowing me to do this project. Thank you for allowing me to carry on the torch. My heart's over here. My torch of Ep.3's Top 3 Tuesday. I'm a healthcare professional and my heart is I thought my